Колеги, вітання.
Dear colleagues, hello. We continue with our working day, and the topic of the next briefing is 28th Detached Mechanized Brigade, a year on the front line. The family members of this brigade's fighters, Larysa, Semesko, Olha, Zotova, and Tetyana Fesenko, are invited to take the floor. Good afternoon, good morning. I am Olha Zotova. I start our briefing today, and on behalf of the families of the fighters of the 28th Detached Mechanized Brigade, I want to thank the journalists of the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center and the Euromaidan Source Group for the opportunity to tell you about what we are concerned with. Our aim is not just to inform the society about the situation in the brigade, but also to underline the importance of radical changes in the army, where priority should be respect to the fighters. For many, many years running, for the first time, we can tell that the army is ours, and as patriots and families of the fighters, we cannot be indifferent to the situation in the brigade. I tell you more, this is the issue of civic and personal responsibility. And another reason why we cannot be silent is that we see the after effects of the fighters stay in the zone of combat action. And of course, professional military cannot but know about this. I want to quote the collection of information and analytical materials of the chief agency on the work of personnel of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, which is called the Analysis of the Experience of Combat Action in Hotspots. And now I quote, the facts testify to the fact that the prolonged presence in the zone of high stress and fatigue does not provide the fighter with an opportunity to adequately assess what's going on. It makes them aggressive. This is a natural process and you cannot ignore it. The same collection says that a human body cannot be in the stressful situation for a long time. And we read here the maximum term for being in the combat action zone is up to 45 days. This is the norm recommended by all the international research from the times of the Second World War until now. After 45 days, the changes start to happen that are resulting from psychological trauma. And after 4 or 6 months, they are irreversible. And we have to understand that almost 12% are going to be guaranteed psychogenic losses. 12% may become 40% if we do not observe the necessary hygienic psychological norms. And this is, of course, the issue for the entire society. On the 6th of May 2014, the Parliament of Ukraine has adopted a resolution where point 5 says that it is recommended that every 45 days there should be a rotation and dismissal of those people who were mobilized. I'd like to stress here that this resolution was aimed at strengthening the combat capability of the Ukrainian armed forces. According to Soviet data for 1989, 3,700 veterans of the Afghan war were in prisons. 75% of them were divorced, and 65% suffered from drug and alcohol addiction. These are open data. Everyone can get acquainted with this. It is absolutely true that the Ukrainian army now is protecting the territorial integrity and independence of our state. However, whatever noble the aims are, every war has after effects. I am Tetyana Fesenko. I'd like to say that the relatives of the fighters do not understand the specifics of the attitude of officers towards fighters. We have constantly drawn attention of everybody responsible to the necessity of leaves of absence and rotation in order to restore the forces of fighters. This all is corroborated by international practice and experience, but we are not being heard. However, our aim is to protect the life and the health of our guys so that they can do their duty better. But here we see just a part of replies to our addresses, and here are just general things said, but no concrete actions. For instance, we are being told that our military are given short-term leaves of absence, and we ask, is this just lies, or the command does not have real information? Here, for instance, the commandment do apply efforts to organize rotation. However, this does not happen so far. Or, for instance, that the military servicemen are being regularly sent on leave. This does not correspond to reality, because for 10 months of being in the anti-terrorist operation zone, our guys got only one 10-day leave. The higher commandment cannot but understand that this has a bearing on the future life of our military, and this will affect their future and the life of many, many civilians. After effects are already there. Yes, they do perform their duty, but this requires a lot of effort and price, and exacts a very high price for them. There is no feedback, and the military and their families lose trust in all the steps and links of the Ukrainian armed forces. We do want to build a independent new Ukraine. We should switch from words to deeds.
The main part of personnel of the 28th Mechanized Brigade called third during the postal mobilization. Our relatives came to ATO in September 20, October 2014 after 1 month and a half training on test field. This is the 10th month they don't leave the positions, and they give a good answer to Russian terrorist troops during the presence in the sector. They strengthened the line of defense, and they created the barrier for further movement of the aggressor. And they were during fall, winter, the most difficult months, and the winter first started in October, and the weather was quite different. Sometimes it was -30. All the time our relatives were on duty in inhuman conditions. The combat situation on the suppression line was difficult. The positions were under shelling and threats of battles. But despite all the difficulties with dignity, they complied with their duty, and the majority of soldiers received a short 10 days visit in 2014. In March, they planned rotation for recreation. Then time for rotation was postponed 2 times. As a result, they made a decision not to pull the unit from the positions. The commander of the brigade cancelled all the vacations, although during 2 months they developed the schedule 3 times. Motivation to cancel vacations is different. difficult situation. It's impossible to give vacations because we don't have enough personnel, and also soldiers don't want to take vacation. But in winter the situation was not the best, and there were even less of personnel. But they sent some for vacations. Our relatives without the 10th month on the front line, so 282 days, and under shelling, threats, and snipers and mines of the enemy. They stand and they give such a the fight back, so that they fight back, but they're very tired and they don't sleep enough, and they just wanted to sleep enough and to hug their relatives, and they haven't seen their wives, families, and the children, and we have not seen them for more than half a year. And the issue of rotations and vacations, we mentioned that Tetyana had a meeting with Mr. Mikhit, who is Deputy Minister of Defense, and they told us because they were not provided with vacations in 2015. They will be demobilized in the end of July. There will be no postponement, and they started to count days, and the majority of them they got on the list on the unit right after the third mobilization voluntarily. Then they. Colonel Lishchinsky gave an order, and it's according to decision of the commander of Operational Command South, and demobilization should be since September 1st and to July. There are some soldiers that were taken from their jobs, and very often we see the situation that employees don't keep their jobs, and they're not happy to pay to someone who's absent, and despite the fact that they defend their motherland, and there are laws, and not always it works, and when they are there, they can happen. They will be dismissed after 1 year. And somebody can say that you can do it through the court. Yes, but it takes a lot of time, and also painful for people who lived through the war and who expect the support from the society. The personnel after vacations, 10 months after without vacations, it's difficult for them. They were promised to be demobilized. Always they understood, and they were not grumbling when it was difficult, and they with dignity they overcame all the problems, all the difficulties, and they had, and they counted that there would be nice attitude of the command, but the command was not in a hurry to take care of the subordinates. They don't pay attention to the physical and psychological state, and they don't see that they are under stress, and so the enemy sees that, and there are groups, and there are shells, and they keep for long all the soldiers in the state of enhanced military status. It's very difficult to demand from soldiers who with minimal recreation there. It's difficult to demand clear execution of task, and long presence there changes their psyche and doesn't allow to understand the situation, assess the situation clearly. Relatives of 5 months, they try to inform the government, the command, they need recreation on a regular basis, because that improves their combat readiness, and absence of vacations could be replaced with rotation. But that doesn't happen. Operational Command South recently they informed our relatives that the brigade will not be pulled out from the positions until the end of special period. As a result, the personnel is on the front line without any hope that they would get vacation, rotation, and prolonged mobilization, and also there is no replacement. They do their civic duty.
They are performing their civic duty, and they deserve a dignified attitude toward them. To be silent about our problems is to betray those who are on the front line, and our aim is to resist, survive, and win. It is difficult to say now what we are experiencing, what we are feeling. How can you convey in words what you feel when you are composing a package for the guys, and how many women can tell you how difficult it is to wait for their phone calls. And we are not only proud of the staunchness of our guys, but also with the patience of our women. We are actively participating in volunteer movement, but we can tell responsibly that the main burden of overcoming the negative psychological after effects will be on shoulders of the families. In Mykolaiv there's a volunteer group to deal with the problem, psychological problems. We also are very grateful to Marta Pivarenko from Lviv, Tetyana from Kyiv, Tetyana Zhilayeva and Natalia Koval from Mykolaiv, who are volunteering. Also the team of the Democratic Alliance in Mykolaiv. We will be glad to cooperate further. Our unity and coordination of actions will help to solve problems of the military. So, by the beginning of July this year, the fighters of the 28th Detached Mechanized Brigade were or have been for the 10 months on the front line without rotation or regular leaves, and every day of being there will negatively affect the treatment, the attitude of the guys to their duties, on their combat mood, and on their capacity to solve combat issues. And of course the combat capacity is very closely linked on the duration of their being on the front line. And this also has bearing on the ability to reintegrate, to come back to peaceful life. And legality and justice is the request of everyone who is on the front line now. Thousands of patriotically inclined people are a huge potential for successful reforms in the country, and it is inadmissible to use the human resource without any responsibility. We insist on timely demobilization of the fighters who were called up during the third wave of mobilization according to the decree of the President of Ukraine on the 12th of June of this year, about the dismissal from military service of military personnel who were called up during the mobilization for the special period according to the decree of the President of Ukraine of the 21st of July 2014. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. We hope that you will be heeded by the Minister of Defense and the situation will change for the better. We have time for one or two questions. Could you be more precise whether you have an information on how representative the situation on the 28th Brigade is, and whether the situation is similar in other units? Well, you know, we thank you for the question. We actually are talking about based on the information that we have. Unfortunately, what is happening in other parts of the front line and what is the situation with other brigades, we don't know. But we do know that there are brigades where this process is well oiled and the fighters soldiers are going regularly on leaves, once every 2 months, for instance, or they are being taken to rotation, like the 30th Brigade, the 74th Brigade. Yes, they do go to rotation, they do go to leaves, on leaves, where the commanders were able to organize this process. But, you know, we cannot say that this is representative what we say, because the situation is changing. Just one more laconic question, maybe. No other questions. Thank you very much. We wish you success. This briefing is over, and the next briefing is within 2 or 3 minutes.